Mary Allison Brown. I'm a mental health therapist and a coach, and I'm on a mission to redefine self-care. So all of the things that are in my 5 pillars of foundational self-care are things that we know are supportive of mental and emotional health. So they're research-based things that really support mental health, because even when people come to see me in therapy, right, and say I have these issues I want to work on, or have this childhood trauma I'd like to dig up, I'm always starting with the question of, well, how well are you doing these 5 things? Because we know from the research that these are supportive of mental health. So if you're not already doing these things and building that stable foundation, we're not going to get very far. I want to share with you the way that I define self-care, because I think that this is a really helpful framework. And that way the people who are listening can really dig into this for themselves. So the way that I define self-care is that self-care really means identifying how you want to feel and prioritizing the things that make you feel that way. So there is no right or wrong answer here. It is a recognition that the way that you want to feel is different than the way that other people want to feel. And the way that you achieve those feelings is also different than how other people do that. And that's all okay. So for example, when I do this exercise, what comes up for me is that I want to feel energized, inspired, fulfilled, and peaceful. And so sometimes, when I'm working from home and kids are remote schooling and it feels like chaos, and I look over in the kitchen and I see, like the dishes are piling up in the sink. Well, now going to do the dishes is a form of self-care. You're not gonna find that on any self-care checklist. But because if I do the dishes, I can access that desired feeling of feeling peaceful, that is self-care. That is me taking care of myself so that I can feel the way that I want to feel. Does that make sense? But it's also not about the dishes. So there might be a time where you look at those dishes and you say, forget it. I want to go outside and lay in the hammock and access some peaceful feelings by reading a book. And so you have to give yourself the flexibility to change. I was running a group last weekend and one of the women in the group said, I just feel like I really need to accept that it's okay to be selfish and take care of myself. And I was like, or let's reframe that. Is it selfish? Is it selfish to meet your own needs? Because as women, we've been so programmed that we have to take care of everyone else. We have to meet everyone else's needs before we meet our own. And so what I see in the women that I work with is that it almost becomes a source of shame to admit that we can't do it all, or to admit that we have emotional needs. And here's the thing though, our emotional needs are kind of like toddlers. I know all of you moms out there will really connect with this. So what happens is they try to get our attention. And we say, I'm not listening right now. I'm just going to ignore you. And then what happens when you ignore a toddler? They get louder, they get bigger, they get more destructive, they might throw something. Our emotions and our emotional needs do the same thing. So our emotional needs don't go away when we ignore them. So we're ignoring them, right? We're stuffing them down by meeting everyone else's needs, refusing to acknowledge them. And then what happens is that they come out in ways that we really don't want them to. And that's when we start screaming at people or having a total meltdown because we have just exceeded our capacity. And so I really want to offer you a reframe that taking care of your own needs is not selfish whatsoever. And not only is it not selfish, it truly is an act of service. When you meet your own needs first, you can show up more fully and be fully present for both your work and your children, and really show up for those people and things that you love and value most in a more powerful way, because you don't have those emotional needs screaming at you in the background.